This week's Haftorah from Yeshayahu, that Yaakov will take root, Yisrael will flower. It's basically a poem, and it alternates very exuberant brachas with extremely harsh criticisms. The I that it continues after the hopes for the future, the prophecy for the future. The prophets and the priests are basically condemned as a bunch of maniacs. That everything that they do is foolishness. That they are surrounded by vomit and filth. The nation itself is condemned, and this is very important to understanding both the movement of the Haftorah as well as the movement of the Parsha, is that the nation has learned nothing, or the nation has understands nothing. The idea of understanding is rooted in the idea of taking a look at things, thinking things over. This is the idea of Moshe with the burning bush, that he sees this unusual thing, and then he says, well, let's take a look at it. Why is this happening? And what he finds within it is the voice of God. And that's the basic idea of understanding, that eventually you get to the voice of God. Now, obviously, if someone suspects that's going to happen and they don't like what they're going to hear, then the object is to just be one dumb guy. Okay? Then it continues that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to basically deal with the nation of Israel like he's separating wheat from chaff. In other words, there's going to be some people who learn the appropriate things and others that really don't. The people who have been properly molded will eventually be gathered to Yerushalayim, where they will submit themselves at the Temple Mount. This is the idea of it's a combination of devotion, but it's the idea of being a loyal worker, a good soldier. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the general, and we're the enthusiastic soldiers. The idea of a man as a worker getting a good job. Okay? It says that basically that the good people will be, the tzaddikim will eventually be proud of their children. In other words, their kids are going to turn out okay because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is molding them. In other words, you got people who have problems, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to uproot the problems and bring out the good things. The Haftorah then talks about how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is instructing the nation, and it uses the term tzav l'tzav, tzav l'tzav, kav l'kav, kav l'kav. A precept here and a precept there, a mitzvah here, a mitzvah there, a verse here and a verse there. The idea is that you learn what is the proper way we should live life, and you learn various types of phrases and verses. It becomes on your tongue as well. It's the frequent expression. And it starts out like mother's milk. In other words, the root is the things that we learned from our parents and teachers when we were very young, and we just build up on that, until we have gained a substantial amount of knowledge, and it has elevated us into being a very good person and a very good people. He says, concerning though the people who reject God's teachings, it's the opposite. He says that what will happen is that the Torah is going to sound stammering and strange to them. After that, they will be exposed to the precepts, and they will be exposed to the words. However, it's going to cause them to fall backwards. The idea is using rebelliousness to destroy a person, that a person learns something that is really good, so what do? They do the opposite. And they hear something, an idea, a phrase that is very good, they distort it, they suppress it. And what this does is in the end, it destroys them. In both cases, whether the person is going up or they are going down, it is a gradual process. In other words, over a period of years for an individual or generations for a people, they change. Now, this rhythm of the Haftorah mimics the Parsha in that the Parsha also alternates between the beauty and devotion of the children of Israel as well as with their malevolent behavior. It starts by mentioning the names of the 12 tribes and mentioning the greatness of Yoseph. Then it goes into their descent into very harsh slavery, and it talks about really the courage of the Israelite midwives. Moshe is born and discussed, and he talks about how as a young adult he is forced to flee Egypt because you have basically an arrogant Israelite Russia attempts to have him arrested. And the reason is because Moshe rebuked him. He was striking another Israeli, and Moshe, what does Moshe say? Why are you doing this? So what had happened the previous day was that it was an Egyptian striking an Israelite, and basically Moshe kills the attacker, and the Israelites basically exploit a vulnerability from Moshe's benevolence, okay, to use it against them. So Moshe flees. Now what happens is when Moshe flees, he winds up in Midian, and he is on the mountain of God. It was known to be the mountain of God, and he encounters the burning bush, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu charges him to be the liberator of the children of Israel from Mitzrayim, and Moshe gives them all sorts of objections, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives them all sorts of reassurances about these things. So what does Moshe do when he finally says, just send somebody else? In other words, it really is an act of rebellion or an act of turning down this charge. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives them Aaron to go with them. Hashem is not happy with Moshe about that, but Moshe does accept the appointment. Okay? However, he has his wife has given birth to a son, and Moshe does not properly circumcise the son. Not clear if it's neglect, forgetfulness, or a subtle type of rebellion. But in any case, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to kill Moshe because of that, in which case Moshe's wife, Zipporah, circumcises the boy. Says, yeah, you're a bloody bridegroom for me. Okay? Once he gets to Egypt, and he talks to the people, he gathers them together, the Bnei Yisrael, and he tells them that he's going to take them out of Egypt, that he's going to bring them into the promised land. They react very favorably. They accept the signs that have been given to them, and they back him. However, when Moshe confronts Pharaoh, what does Pharaoh do? Pharaoh reacts very hostily and harshly towards the Bnei Yisrael. Now, you would expect that you're dealing with a Russia like Pharaoh, and he really doesn't want the Bnei Yisrael to leave, that this may not have gone altogether smoothly, and they're going to have to support their leader in what is basically a war. Instead, what is it? They turn against Moshe, and they blame him. They say, "Well, why is it that you put a sword in Pharaoh's hand to stab us?" In other words, they're have the aspect of being traitors. Can't rely on them. Okay, so that's basically how the parsha ends. Now, what you will see is that it's when Hashem says that He's going to redeem the Jewish people, He points to their groaning. It's not any merit. The Jewish people have the merit of the patriarchs, but it's not through a good deed that they're being redeemed, that Hashem has been removed. It's that He's moved by their groaning and their suffering. And what you will see when you start looking at the Tanakh, the whole Chumash, you have a lot of ups and downs with the Jewish people. You have various tragedies. But in all cases, as one of the prophets, he had a son who was called Hashar Yashuv. Those that remain will return. The idea is, with all of their experiences, that the nation learns something. The idea is that you have righteous people who will always be learning and always advancing, and they will always be turning to what is good and wise. They're not perfect either, and they have something to learn, but the learning and advancement is part of them. You also have Rishaim, that, if there's a hint that they're going to have to change anything, especially to change for the better, then they become very silent and rebellious. You can't do that much with them. Those are the chaff. They are not going to make it. However, the bulk of the people, the masses, are what you would say slow learners. And over time, they learn a precept, they do a mitzvah, they learn a phrase, the ideas sink in, it becomes part of their conversation, it becomes part of their thinking. They advance. And basically, what starts out as inchoate pain, or inchoate groans of pains over thousands of years, are basically refined into the third temple. That there was a tiny bit of good in this pain. That words were not even expressed, but it was the groaning of a good nation. And it's going to take all sorts of adventures. Sometimes you'll be learning things in your schools and in your homes. Other times you're going to learn them from the school of hard knocks. But eventually it becomes a case where the nation advances, nation of Israel, yet humanity advances, yet you come to the days of the third temple, in the days of universal peace. Thank you.